First tonight, state House members taking a stand against distracted driving.
State lawmakers just voting on a bill in Columbus aimed at those on their phones while behind the wheel. Clara Faith has been following this story. She is live now from the Dayton 24/7 Now First Warning weather vehicle. And Clara, can you break down what this bill would mean for drivers in the state?
A state House committee held a hearing where they voted on House Bill 283. That House will prohibit the use of electronic communication devices being used while people are driving on the road. The bill was passed by the House committee and is on its way to be passed by the state House. We spoke with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office, who says cell phones have changed the way people drive on the roads.
Technology has really changed the roads out there. People are constantly on their phone. They got a hand on the wheel and then they got a phone in their hand. The problem with that is obviously is you have taken your eyes and your concentration off of the road.
So Clara, where do Ohio laws stand right now then in regards to using cell phones while driving?
So Ohio is not a hands-free state, meaning that you are allowed to use your cell phones while driving. However, you're not supposed to text and drive. Now back to you guys in studio.
Clara, thanks. Well, I'm trying so hard, Natalie. I really am to get excited about this weather, but it's just not there yet.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it. It just happened so quickly. It was 70 degrees last week.
Yeah, and it's hard to adjust when it's this cold. And you know what? This time of the year, you like to ease into it, and then, you want the snow to come around Christmas time. This is a look at a great shot, though, of some grapple that we had earlier into the evening in Bell Fountain. So a little bit different than snowfall. This is actually snowflakes with super cooled water droplets around it, which actually makes it kind of look like Dippin' Dots. So that's what we saw a lot of across the Miami Valley this evening. But for right now, it's a little bit calmer. We have some light wintry precipitation moving through Sydney at this time. We'll continue with some light snow showers as we head into this evening, which could bring some very minor accumulations with temperatures below freezing. Slick spots are going to be possible out on the road. So we'll eventually drop down into the upper 20s overnight with some light snow showers around the region. Overall, very cold. Wind chills, they're going to be in the teens through the overnight hours as well. So make sure you are bundled up as you head out for tomorrow morning.
Natalie, thanks. A live look at the Miami Valley Jail's website tonight, where a woman remains booked in jail on murder charges following the death of her 93-year-old grandmother. Police say Heidi Matheny admitted to drowning her grandmother. Matheny said she was one of the caretakers but became tired of taking care of her grandmother. Now, formal charges should be coming from the Preble County Prosecutor's Office.
Butler County officials seizing drugs and guns during a search. They say they found 1,000 fentanyl pills along with fentanyl powder, meth, cocaine, marijuana, and more than 200 vapes. They also recovered 15 guns and $18,000 in cash. 44-year-old Josh Riley, who you just saw, is now facing drug trafficking and possession charges.
In a shocking and possibly risky move by the defense in the trial of George Wagner IV, he not only took the stand but agreed to go on camera to tell his side of the story. He admitted to being part of his family's past criminal activity, including arson and stealing truck trailers and diesel fuel. George claims he only learned his family was involved in the murders when his brother and mother pleaded guilty.
I was heartbroken over it and felt betrayed, and I just couldn't believe that they were capable of it.
You still have a hard time comprehending?
I have a hard time dealing with it, yes.
Now, Wagner also testified about wanting to leave his family, including running away 3 times. He pointed to his lawyer's opening statement about him being different than the rest of the family. Wagner continues his testimony first thing tomorrow morning. He's expected to be on the stand for at least another day. Also, Jessica Watkins, a former Ohio bar owner who's accused of storming the U.S. Capitol with fellow members of the Oath Keepers group, took the stand in her defense today. She told jurors that this decision was, quote, really stupid, and recalls watching a steady diet of Alex Jones' InfoWars. Now, leading up to January 6th, she, along with 3 other Oath Keeper members, they're facing several other felony charges in addition to seditious conspiracy.
AES Ohio says it's seeing many utility scams this time of year. Scams in general, though, are on the rise, especially online. The Better Business Bureau says those are up more than 80% since 2015. Mamie Boss spoke with law enforcement and AES Ohio about the issue.
AES Ohio is raising awareness since today is Utility Scam Awareness Day. It says you need to be careful. Sometimes you'll have people calling saying that your service is about to be disconnected and that you owe or that you're owed a refund. And in some cases, some people may even come to your home. They say do not fall for it. Now, I did speak with the sheriff's office. It tells me that technology has made it easy for scammers to make you think you should pick up, especially when you see a phone number come across your screen with a 513-937 or 614 area code. In Montgomery County, the most common scams are people calling and pretending to be city or government officials.
Saying they're from the IRS or the FBI or the sheriff's office or any other law enforcement agency saying, you know, we have a warrant for your arrest and you need to bring this amount of money. And you know, some of the things we laugh about, sometimes it's gift cards.
The sheriff's office tells me it gets a lot of requests to discuss scams, sometimes up to 3 a week. It says definitely beware. Back to you.
Mamie, thanks. A live look now at the U.S. Capitol building tonight. Republicans are now projected to take control of the House. Adam is at the Now desk. And do we know yet what the Republican agenda is going to be in the new year?
Yeah, we have an idea anyway. Congressman Kevin McCarthy, who will likely become the new speaker, has pledged to prioritize fighting inflation, rising crime, and secure the border. Still, this falls short of that red wave that many Republicans had anticipated prior to the midterms. It's taken a full week now after the election for the party to secure control of the chamber. The Senate remains in Democrat control, with them securing a small advantage as well following the election.
Republican Senator Mitch McConnell is now on track to become the longest-serving Senate caucus leader in history. He was reelected today after a private lunch with GOP senators. For the first time, McConnell was challenged by Florida Senator Rick Scott. During the lunch, though, they're said to have sparred over the midterms and the quality of candidates. But McConnell headed into the meeting confident.
Well, look, I don't own this job. Anybody in the conference is certainly entitled to challenge me, and I welcome the contest.
McConnell's win came after senators rejected a motion by a group of dissenters to delay the election until after the Georgia runoff vote.
And the U.S. Senate also cleared a major hurdle to begin debate on the Respect for Marriage Act. 62 senators voted to move forward in that process earlier today.
On this vote, the yeas are 62, the nays are 37. 3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn having voted in the affirmative, the motion is agreed to.
12 Republicans voted with Democrats to move that bill forward, including Ohio Senator Rob Portman. The measure would enshrine those unions into federal law. Democrats want to pass it while they still control the House. The bipartisan deal includes protections for religious liberty. The legislation gained momentum after the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade abortion rights, with fears same-sex marriage could be next. And one of those Republicans who backed today's vote was Senator Mitt Romney. When asked about it, he explained his reasoning.
Well, we already have gay marriage in the country. That's a decision made by the Supreme Court in the Obergefell decision some years ago. This legislation just says that the status which is conveyed by one state has to be recognized by another. At the same time, this legislation provides important religious liberty protections. And it's because of that compromise that I think the bill made sense.
Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says he hopes to pass that bill this week, but the final Senate votes could be pushed back until the last week of November or beginning of December.
Long-running Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider at the Ohio State House today. She testified against an Ohio House bill that would restrict gender-affirming health care for transgender kids. It would bar access to gender confirmation surgeries, puberty-blocking drugs, and hormone therapy. Schneider grew up right here in Dayton. She was the first trans contestant to make it to Jeopardy's Tournament of Champions. She says it's time to take politics out of the equation.
You know, I'm not asking anyone here to change your personal views on trans people. I'm not here to scold anyone about pronouns. I'm not asking you to do anything except to not pass a ban that is expanding the government's reach, not restrict the freedom of families and doctors and communities to decide for themselves what their children need, without a bunch of politicians in Columbus sticking their nose into everyone's private business.
Supporters of the bill have said that they want to keep families from getting pressured or bullied into life-changing treatments.
The city of Springfield has now narrowed its search for a new police chief down to 7 candidates. In the group, it includes 2 current Springfield police employees. 32 people applied for that position overall. After an initial interview process, the city expects to narrow that field further to about 4 to 6 candidates. Current Chief Lee Graff plans to retire at the end of the year. You can find the list of all the candidates on our website, Dayton247now.com.
A small plane touching down on its belly at the Moraine Air Park after investigators say it had a problem with its landing gear. Earlier today, now there's no word on how many people were on board at the time, but luckily no one was hurt. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is now handling that investigation.
Chaos on campus. Video of this man's violent confrontation with UC police officers. He's the same man who police say attacked 3 students in a dorm hall. Luke Jones shares more of that exclusive video and shocking details.
A University of Cincinnati student's wild outburst after he's cornered by cops for a November 5th attack on 3 students in a dorm hall. Christopher Campbell was riding in an elevator with a fellow student.
It stopped at floor 3 and he tugged my shirt and grabbed my bra and was like, "You're coming to floor 3 with me."
The victim refuses. Campbell allegedly keeps tugging at her and then starts punching her. Another girl saw what was happening and intervened, and then Campbell allegedly started hitting her. She only got away by biting him. A man tries stepping in, and Campbell allegedly punches him too. Here's what happens when police show up.
You are not free to go, sir.
At the University of Cincinnati, I'm Luke Jones.
UVA canceling its final home game of the season after Sunday's deadly campus shooting. The charges the accused gunman is now facing after his first court appearance today.
Also, Uvalde families voicing their frustrations at a community meeting tonight. The conversation uncovered that re-sparked their anger toward law enforcement. A major announcement for CVG Flyers, the Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Airport welcoming British Airways for a nonstop flight that's been years in the making. Courtney Wheaton has the latest from the airport.
CVG just announced direct flights to, yep, you guessed it, London, and it's not just a win for the airport, but us as travelers as well.
It'll have a positive impact on the economy, positive impact on visitors.
British Airways is the flight provider. This is the only direct flight between the UK and all of Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. The flight runs 5 days a week during the summer and 4 during the winter months.
London is our largest unserved international market, so now we've been able to take care of that with this great announcement.
This makes 2 transatlantic flights for the airport. It also offers a direct flight to France. And those tickets are on sale now, and those flights start in June. And I just learned there's some introductory rates, so you want to check those out online. I have all that information on the web version of my story. Back to you. Well, we're tracking some snow showers across the area, and we'll continue to track some light snow through the rest of the evening. Now, the heaviest of activity has really moved out of our area, but we do have a light band of snowfall about to push its way into Dayton. You can see Troy getting some light wintry precipitation at this time, and that will be the trend as we head into the rest of this evening. So some light snowfall through the overnight hours. Will fall into the 20s overnight. Going to be pretty chilly, but then heading into our day on Thursday, could see some peaks of sunshine back up into the mid to upper 30s. And then through the day on Thursday, we're also tracking some snowfall Thursday night into the day on Friday. Some light snow as we have a cold front that pushes through that actually drops temperatures even more. By Friday, we're actually going to be in the lower 30s through most of the day. Wind chills will be even colder, though. So I'm going to time out our wind chills. When will be the coldest and also when will finally warm up in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. We're learning new information tonight after 4 University of Idaho students were killed in a home off campus. We now know the FBI is assisting in that case. While addressing the media, police confirmed all 4 victims were killed with a knife and there was no evidence of forced entry. Police are still searching for a suspect.
We cannot say that there's no threat to the community. And as we have stated, please stay vigilant, report any suspicious activity, and be aware of your surroundings at all times.
The university's president was also emotional tonight while giving a statement on the 4 victims.
To us, this crime and the loss of these young lives is just simply beyond comprehension. While our small community is certainly not immune to such things, it's not a situation our close-knit campus is used to dealing with. Their loss has been devastating, and they were bright lights in our community and are deeply missed and remain in our thoughts and our prayers.
The victims' families are calling on police to release more information. Autopsies are being performed, and police hope that will lead to more answers. The University of Virginia also canceling its final home game of the season after 3 players were killed in a shooting. The suspected shooter, Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., made his first court appearance. He faces 3 counts of second-degree murder, malicious wounding, and gun-related charges. Now, a former coach of one of the victims, Deshaun Perry, honored the linebacker and defensive end at a news conference.
That Deshaun was a delightful, respectful, hard-working person who was one of the best overall young men our communities had to offer.
Another Virginia running back, Mike Hollins, was also shot and underwent surgery yesterday. A 5th victim has yet to be identified but is said to be in serious condition. The motive for the shooting remains unknown tonight. In Uvalde, the families of shooting victims are voicing their frustration at a county commission meeting. This is after CNN uncovered a conversation between Police Lieutenant Mariano Pargas and dispatch, which indicated that he knew children inside the classroom needed to be rescued, but he failed to act in time. However, with Pargas absent from the meeting, the family directed their anger towards his empty chair.
He was trusted to protect and serve. But not only did you turn your back on poor Chloe's desperate 911 calls for help, but you washed your bloodstained hands and walked away from children and teachers that were being tortured with kicks to the arms, head, body, spit on, and laughed at while lying there dying with gunshot wounds.
Now, Don McLaughlin, the mayor of Uvalde, says Pargas will not be with the police department by the end of the week. Meanwhile, the independent internal investigation into the Uvalde Police Department is expected to take another 60 to 90 days to complete.
Live look now from our first warning weather vehicle. So it's nice to be in a car if you're going to be outside, because I can tell you on our first warning, or on our Watson's weather patio rather, The wind has picked up. It is
Yeah.
cutting right through us, I feel like, right now. It's cold.
You could actually hear the flags back there kind of like whipping around a little bit due to the winds. It's feeling colder, and that's going to be the trend really over these next couple of days.
All right, let's get this done then.
Yes. Let's get inside where it's warm. But it is chilly out here right now. You can see we had a little bit of a dusting of some light snow and some grapple from earlier into the day. These are wind chills, though. Feeling like the 20s and teens. Feels like 21 in Dayton. Feels like 19 up in Wapakoneta right now. And through the rest of the evening, we'll continue to really feel those frigid wind chills. In fact, through the day tomorrow, wind chills in the teens and 20s. And on Friday, even colder wind chills, perhaps even staying in the mid-teens. So make sure you're bundled up for these next several days.
Natalie, thanks. A nearby food pantry needs your help to make sure everyone gets a Thanksgiving meal. Still ahead, how you can make a difference during the season of giving. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Most Americans are feeling the strain of inflation at the grocery store, and that's evident this holiday season. Food prices are up close to 10% compared to 2% historically. Turkey is going to hit $1.77 a pound. That's up 28% from last year. Canned pumpkin is up too, meaning that pie will cost more. So will stuffing, and potatoes are up 45%. So what's not going to break the bank? green beans and cranberries. They've only gone up a couple of cents.
Now, volunteers at the Greene County Fish Food Pantry are hard at work right now preparing those Thanksgiving meals. This is after someone donated $25,000 to the nonprofit. They say the meals are almost complete at this point. They're just missing mashed potatoes due to a shortage, but they're still trying to work to get them.
So far this year, we've spent $114,000 on food. And that's, our numbers are going just up and up. We had 1,170 families in September, 1117 in October, and already in 2 weeks in, we have 614 for November, and we've still got 2 weeks to go.
Matson says the numbers are all up and supply is down. It's the busiest time of year for food pantries, and this year is no exception. She says she's hoping donations pick up because they want to make sure that everyone has enough food for the holidays. Well, the Dayton Flyers football team preparing for a big game with postseason implications. Matt Digby is going to be in next to break it down.
And it's time for your TikTok of the day. Let's learn about why some clouds are really dark and some aren't. Why are some clouds very dark, like the ones you see right here? Well, it all has to do with the thickness or the height of the cloud and how much light will be allowed to scatter. So the thicker the cloud is, the darker it's going to be. And that's also why you could see right here with these cumulus clouds that the top of them are all white and puffy, but the bottom is darker because less light is allowed to scatter through.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Good evening, I'm Matt Digby with a look at sports. It's shades of 2006. Remember when unbeaten Ohio State hosted unbeaten Michigan in Columbus? That could very well happen again in a week and a half. But first things first, both teams need to win game number 11. For the Buckeyes, that means going on the road this Saturday to Maryland. That's a 3:30 kickoff right here on ABC 22. Ohio State has never lost to Maryland since the two became Big Ten rivals back in 2014. But the last time OSU traveled to College Park, they survived an upset scare, 52-51 back in 2018. This year's Maryland squad has lost 2 straight, including being shut out at Penn State last week. But earlier in the season, they did play Michigan close, only losing by a touchdown. More Buckeye news this week. Defensive coordinator Jim Knowles is a nominee for the Frank Broyles Award that goes annually to the best assistant coach in college football. Well, the regular season ends this Saturday for University of Dayton football, but it might not be the last game the Flyers play in 2022. That's because of a unique situation this year in the Pioneer Football League. Here's a look at the top of the conference standings. St. Thomas has already clinched a share of the title, but they're ineligible for the FCS playoffs because their are still in a transition from Division III. That means if Dayton wins at Davidson, the Flyers get the Pioneer League's berth into the postseason, but the Wildcats could claim that berth for themselves if they win. And speaking on Wednesday, the Flyers acknowledging what's at stake this weekend.
You know the pressure's there, but you know the saying, pressure makes diamonds. So nothing. And another one of my coaches always said that pressure is just something in your head, and just go out there and play football. We've been playing this game for so long. Some of us since the age of 6, 7 years old. And the first couple of games, we're still kind of getting your feet wet, getting more comfortable with the faster speed of the college football compared to high school football.
Everyone knows it's there. You can tell yourself as much as you want. Oh, it's just another game, but it's definitely there. Playing a great opponent in Davidson as well. Gone to the playoffs the past couple of years. This is why you play football. You go to Dayton to play in a championship atmosphere, and this is it.
We're going through practice just like we normally do. We're not changing anything. We're in a routine. We're in a pretty good mood right now. Confidence, all those things. So we just want to keep it the same.
Well, there was men's college basketball Wednesday night. Ohio State facing Eastern Illinois. Not the most convincing performance from the Buckeyes, but they get the win to stay unbeaten as they go to Maui next week. Cincinnati will also be in Maui, but the Bearcats falling on the road tonight at Northern Kentucky, their first loss of the season. And the Buckeyes and Bearcats could potentially face each other in Maui on Tuesday. As for Dayton and Wright State men's basketball, both teams coming off games last night. The Flyers had a halftime lead at UNLV before the Rebels came back to win. UD is back home on Saturday when they host Robert Morris. The Flyers then go to the Bahamas for Thanksgiving. Wright State has now won 2 straight as they saw off Bowling Green 80-71 Tuesday at the Nutter Center.